Yes, let's talk about hockey, the show that journeys through the history of the sport of ice hockey from its disputed origins to the game we see today. After nearly a decade and a half of expansion, the NHL's size remained locked at 21 teams throughout the 1980s. But after the Wayne Gretzky trade to LA in 1988 grew hockey's popularity in that city, the league began to look at tapping into new markets during the 90s. The first new team established in this decade came in the NHL's 75th anniversary season and brought Major League Hockey back to the Bay Area for the first time since 1976, the San Jose Sharks.
Named in reference to the large shark population in the Red Triangle area off the California coast, San Jose's first-year roster was not that impressive. In fact, the only notable player with experience was team captain Doug Wilson, a former Norris Trophy winning defenseman from the Blackhawks. Aside from him, the team contained NHL journeymen like forward Brian Mullen, minor leaguers like defenseman Link Gates, and rookies like winger Pat Falloon. The Sharks' first game was on October 4th, 1991, and ended in a 4-3 loss to Vancouver. San Jose would drop their second game to Vancouver the next night at their home opener before picking up their club's first win 3 nights later against Calgary. Unfortunately, the Sharks lost 13 straight games after that, and besides a 4-game undefeated streak in late November, the only streaks they could put together during this first season were in the loss column. Their final record of 17-58-5 landed them dead last in the league, with Pat Falloon and Brian Mullen leading the team in scoring with 59 and 46 points respectively. The team's second year in 1992-93 was even worse than their first. This time the Sharks only managed to win 11 games, tying them for last place in the league. Though on the positive side of things, the team's top 2 scorers, Kelly Kissio and Johan Garpenlov, tallied more than 60 points each, and rookie defenseman Sandis Ozolinsh showed promise by leading the team's blue liners with 23 points. The Sharks received a bit of a makeover prior to the 1993-94 season, hiring former U.S. national junior team coach Kevin Constantine, signing winger Bob Erie and naming him the new team captain to replace the now-retired Doug Wilson, signing former Soviet Red Army star forwards Igor Larionov and Sergei Makarov, and moving from the old Cow Palace to the new San Jose Arena. While they fell 2 wins shy of a .500 record this year, they still improved by 58 points from the previous season. With 6 players tallying 50 or more points, and Sergei Makarov becoming the first 30-goal scorer in team history, the Sharks secured the 8th-seeded playoff spot in the Western Conference. In the playoffs for the first time, San Jose was matched against the top Western Conference team, the Detroit Red Wings. The Sharks, though, stunned Detroit with victories in games 1, 4, and 5 to put the Red Wings on the brink of elimination. Detroit, however, would force a Game 7 with a 7-1 Game 6 victory in San Jose. But in Game 7, with the score tied at 2 late in the third period, Sharks center Jamie Baker capitalized on a bad pass by rookie goaltender Chris Osgood to score the game-winning goal and complete San Jose's upset of Detroit. In the second round, the Sharks were poised to pull off another upset as they led their series against the third-seeded Maple Leafs 3-2 headed into Game 6. Unfortunately, Toronto would win Game 6 in overtime and then Game 7 by a score of 4-2 to send San Jose packing. Despite posting a losing record once again in the shortened 1994-95 season, the Sharks finished 7th in their conference and returned to the playoffs. In the first round this year, they were matched against the second-ranked Calgary Flames. Like the previous year, San Jose shocked everyone by grabbing a quick 2-0 series lead. But Calgary responded by winning the next 3 games in the series to put the Sharks on the brink. San Jose, though, forced the series to a Game 7 and took that game to double overtime before Ray Whitney scored the winning goal to advance the Sharks to the second round with a dramatic upset win once again. The second round, though, would be a disaster for San Jose this time. The top-ranked Red Wings outscored them 24-6 over a 4-game sweep to end the Sharks' hopes of making a deep playoff run.
Following this elimination, San Jose struggled over the next 2 seasons, finishing at the bottom of the Western Conference both years. Though players like Owen Nolan and Tony Granato were picked up during this time, the Sharks parted ways with Igor Larionov, Sergei Makarov, Sandis Ozolinsh, and Arturs Urbe, and cycled through 3 different coaches. Things began to make a turn in the 97-98 season as Daryl Sutter was hired as the new head coach, Conn Smythe Trophy-winning goaltender Mike Vernon was brought in from Detroit, and Patrick Marleau, the team's first-round draft pick, made his debut. These additions helped get the Sharks back into the playoffs that season and the next, but they were unable to make it out of the opening round in both years.
In the 1999-2000 season, San Jose made another goaltending change, giving the starting job to Steve Shields before dealing Mike Vernon to the Panthers in December. This year, led by Owen Nolan, Vincent Damphousse, and Jeff Friesen, the Sharks posted their first ever winning season and grabbed the last playoff spot in the West. Despite being paired against the President's Trophy winning St. Louis Blues in the first round, San Jose was able to take a 3-1 series lead before they eventually finished the Blues off after 7 games. Unfortunately, though, the Sharks once again ran into trouble in the second round as they were outscored by the Dallas Stars 15-7 over 5 games, ending another one of their playoff runs. During the next 2 years, even though San Jose began to have more success in the regular season, finishing second in their division in 2001 and then winning their first division title in 2002, they still couldn't manage to get any farther than the second round of the playoffs. The Sharks got off to a poor start in the 2002-2003 season, thanks in part to contract disputes with 2 of the team's star players, as well as management problems brought on by an ownership change that happened in the off-season. After winning only 8 of their first 24 games, Daryl Sutter was replaced as head coach with Ron Wilson. However, San Jose was never able to recover from their poor start and finished out of playoff contention. But the team rebounded in the 2003-2004 season, with former team captain Doug Wilson being named the new GM. Led by Patrick Marleau, Nils Ekman, Jonathan Chichu, and goaltender Evgeny Nabokov, the Sharks rose back to the top to claim another division title. This matched them against the 7th-ranked St. Louis Blues in the first round of the playoffs. With Nabokov stopping 119 of the 127 shots he faced, and Patrick Marleau and Vincent Damphousse combining for 8 points, San Jose was able to make quick work of St. Louis in 5 games. Advancing to the second round, the Sharks faced the Avalanche. Once again, San Jose was able to rally behind their goaltender, who only allowed 7 goals to get past him over a 6-game series, while the Sharks' offense was able to put up 14 goals of their own to knock off Colorado. Entering the third round of the playoffs for the first time in their club's history, their opponent was the Calgary Flames. Led by 2 former members of the Sharks organization, coach Daryl Sutter and goaltender Mika Kiprasov, the Flames took the first 2 games of the series on the road. San Jose, however, answered back by winning the next 2 to even up the series. The Sharks, though, were nearly completely shut down by Kiprasov over the next 2 games after that, managing to tally only 1 goal, while Calgary scored 6 to eliminate San Jose.
When the NHL returned to action following the 2004-2005 lockout, the Sharks had a rough start to the 2005-2006 season. But with the acquisition of Joe Thornton from Boston in November of 2005, San Jose's offense received a huge boost, and by the end of the year, the Sharks would finish ranked second in their division, with Thornton leading the league in points and taking home the Hart and Art Ross trophies, while Jonathan Chichu led the league in goals to take home the Rocket Richard Trophy. But San Jose would fall flat in the playoffs, losing to the Oilers in the second round. This trend of second-round playoff exits after a great regular season continued over the next 2 years, before the Sharks fired head coach Ron Wilson following their elimination from the 2008 playoffs.
Prior to the 2008-2009 season, San Jose brought on former Detroit assistant coach Todd McClellan as their new head coach, and in addition acquired defensemen Rob Blake, Dan Boyle, and Brad Lukowich to bolster their blue line. This year, the Sharks jumped off to their franchise's best start, losing only 4 games in regulation during the first 3 months of the season, with Thornton, Marleau, and Devin Setaguchi combining for 222 points as the club's top 3 forwards, and Boyle and Blake adding another 102 points from the blue line. San Jose continued to dominate the league and captured their franchise's first ever President's Trophy with their final record of 53-18-11. However, in the first round of the playoffs, the Sharks crumbled in 6 games to Anaheim's offensive threat of Bobby Ryan, Corey Perry, and Ryan Getzlaf, who combined for half of the Ducks' 18 goals against the Sharks. Over the next 2 seasons, San Jose would win 2 more Pacific Division titles and make it to the third round of the playoffs each year, only to fall short both times. First in a sweep to Chicago in 2010, and then in 5 games to Vancouver in 2011. Following their playoff loss to the Canucks, the Sharks began retooling their roster, trading Setaguchi and a couple of draft picks for defenseman Brent Burns, then dealing Danny Heatley for winger Martin Havlat. Unfortunately, these moves did not help San Jose put together any better playoff runs, as they never advanced beyond the second round over the next 3 seasons, before missing the playoffs entirely in the 2014-2015 season.
After coming up short for 3 straight years, San Jose replaced McClellan with Peter DeBoer as the new head coach in May of 2015. After that, the Sharks went a few steps further by dealing goaltender Antti Niemi to Dallas, then bringing in forward Joel Ward from Washington, defenseman Paul Martin from Pittsburgh, and goaltender Martin Jones from Los Angeles. Despite hitting a skid in December and early January, San Jose was able to improve on their record from the previous year and finish the 2015-2016 regular season ranked 3rd in their division.
In the first round of the playoffs this year, Joe Pavelski's 5 goals and Brent Burns' 8 points led the Sharks past the Kings in 5 games. However, things were not as easy against Nashville in round 2. In this series, only the home team was able to win, sending it to a 7th game. Luckily, Martin Jones turned aside all 20 shots the Predators directed his way this night to post his first career playoff shutout and advance the Sharks to the conference finals after a 5-0 victory. In the third round, San Jose was matched against St. Louis. After dropping the first game, the Sharks shut the Blues out in games 2 and 3 to grab a lead in the series. However, St. Louis responded with a 6-3 victory in Game 4 to even the series at 2 games apiece. For Games 5 and 6, though, Pavelski and Ward combined for 7 goals to lead San Jose to 6-3 and 5-2 wins and advance the club to the Stanley Cup Finals for the first time ever. Unfortunately, in the finals, many of the Sharks' top scorers were shut down by the defense of the Penguins, allowing Pittsburgh to take the series and the Cup after 6 games. Though it's taken San Jose a while to get there, now that they've made it to the finals once, they're hoping that they're only a few adjustments away from lifting their first cup.